Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you may be in the world. I'm Sarah Jane. This is Gift of Healing TV, and I am delighted to welcome our guest this evening, Claire Candy Hough. Yes, getting it right. I apologize. I was getting it wrong with the pronunciation. And Candy is joining us this evening to share I Am An Angelic Walk-In, which I'm really looking forward to hear more about. But let me introduce you to her first. As an author, writer, Reiki master teacher, inspirational speaker, and international radio and TV host on her weekly Angel Healing House program, Claire Candy Hough helps others to connect to their divine eternal natures. She established her business, Angel Healing House, in 2003 after her angelic walk-in experience when the former soul of Claire Candy contracted to exit and walk out of her human incarnation early, and Angel Ariel walked in to be of service to humanity. Claire Candy chronicles this extraordinary experience in her autobiography, I Am An Angelic Walk-In, which is the sequel to her remarkable channeled novel, One True Home Behind the Veil of Forgetfulness. Her first channeled book, Angels of Faith, is based on her two near-death experiences. Claire Candy was chosen to be a featured healing practitioner for the documentary TV series, The Children of the Rainbow, about the new generation of indigo, crystal, and rainbow children. Candy, welcome. Thank you for joining us this evening.
It's such a pleasure to speak with you. It's a pleasure to appear on the Gift of Healing TV. Thank you so much.
It's an absolute pleasure. And I know we really are going to talk about the angelic walk-in aspect, but can you share a little more of the story, I suppose, behind that, before that, maybe, is the way I should phrase that?
I think that's a great place to start because before January 11th, 2003, the former soul of Claire Candy, who was in the body, lost her light. She lost her light through having a 26-year abusive marriage. She lost her light through not being able to nourish and nurture her soul, honor and respect herself. So she became codependent. She had a life full of blaming others, always seeing herself as a victim, and she basically lost her light. Now, we across the veil, looking after our human charges, angels and spirit guides, we know how vastly important it is, Sarah Jane, for those humans on the earth soul to learn through challenges and struggle, because this strengthens their characters. But and we know that hardship and adversity are very good for that. But it was so very important since the harmonic convergence of 1987, when there was a tipping point that the consciousness of the world would increase so that we wouldn't destroy our planet. It was so important that every soul keep and hold as much light as possible. And the former soul asked all the time to exit her contract early. She asked this unconsciously. She certainly wasn't conscious enough to ask this. And she just was suicidal. She was anorexic. She just lost all of her light inside. And so I, Angel Ariel, started to visit her about 2.5 years before she decided that she would take theory and put it into practice, and to decide to have an intersection episode. And that is exactly what happened during a deep meditation on January 11th of 2003, when the former soul of Claire Candy walked out, and I, Angel Ariel, walked in to Claire Candy's body to take over her responsibilities, to clean up her life so that I could get on with my mission of being of help and service to humanity. So in my autobiography, I Am An Angelic Walk-In, a large part of the book is highlighting the life of that former soul and seeing exactly how she consistently lost her light and just could not find her way back to her divine eternal nature. And that's why part of my mission coming back is to help people to reconnect to their divinity inside. Because once we're on this line of our divine eternal nature, because we are reflections of God's source, everything then will flow in our lives. There's no more hardship. There might be some challenges, but they're not a problem because we know that everything is co-created with God's source. And so that's a little bit of the background of how the former soul came to losing her light, asking unconsciously to exit her contract, and how I, Angel Ariel, stepped forward and took over her life and basically been creating heaven on earth for the last 14 years.
Thank you for sharing that, because obviously it does help people to know a bit of a background. So the Angel Ariel coming in, so as Ariel, you're not actually then continuing her life purpose, her life journey. You have a separate purpose, a more advanced purpose than hers, because I know we all come with gifts that we share. We all are essential to the planet, to our roles. Every single one of us, whether we're a street cleaner or a president of the United States, whatever our role, every single role is essential for the smooth running of the world.
Judgment and all of these things, that's like a totally erased whiteboard for us, and all that's left is love. And so I've been very respectful to that former soul. A lot of people ask me, why don't I call myself just Angel Ariel and not Claire Candy? And the reason for that is because I respect her family and I respect her choices. And that's why I still have the, if you want to call the moniker or the identity and the name of Claire Candy. And so again, my mission is not any more important than anyone else's. Each of us, Sarah Jane, have an integral puzzle piece of the planet to bring forth and shine out to the world and on the world. And when we do that, the world is so much grander. It's so much brighter. And everyone has that beautiful light, that beautiful purpose. And it's very important to the planet because each and every one of us makes such an enormous difference.
Oh, absolutely. I was out for a walk earlier today, and the words came to me. Your healing journey is your greatest teacher and the greatest gift to the world.
Yes.
And I think so that this is what we were sort of saying there is that being true to ourselves, allowing ourselves our own healing journey, enabling us to expand our own light, we can heal that hurt, that pain, that anger, all those negative feelings, and we can let go of them.
Yes.
And it is possible. There are many souls who are walking that path right at this precise moment in time, have been walking it for a number of years, are now bringing those gifts to their own healing journey. And all of us, we're here to help. And you're not the only walk-in I'm aware of.
No.
There are other walk-ins I am aware of. It's something relatively new to me from earlier this year.
Hmm.
Um, but it's so wonderful to know that there are there are angels that choose to come down. But I am also very aware that yes, the angelic realm, because we those that have taken physical form have lowered their energies to be able to do that, because a lot of angels struggle to come down because the energies are lower. And I've heard before about the respect that the angelic realm has for those taking human form, physical form.
There's not a day that has gone by, Sarah Jane, where it's not a constant uh, a trapeze act for me to walk to walk a human life, and yet to have, I'm just getting shivers all over, to have the knowledge of where I come from, what my mission is, and why I've come back. And so it's like a constant dual act, working in this duality. I do spend an inordinate time alone, and have done for the last 14 years. But now it is my time to step forth on a very public platform. And I was not surprised. I've done a lot of radio interviews in the last 2 years, really in the last 10 years. Um, but TV has only started opening up for me truly in the last maybe 10 months. And it's coming in thick and fast. And so when you said, oh, I'd love to interview you, but by the way, it's going to be on TV, uh, there was another nod to me stepping up until a much wider, more public platform where people not only are hearing the tone behind my voice, the angelic tone behind my voice, but they are also connecting in seeing me. And it's the right timing for this, as so many people are hungry. They're hungry for this information. And I wanted to say that you don't have to be an angelic walk-in, there's other walk-ins as well, which I'll speak about. You don't have to be an angelic walk-in to be able to teach best what you need to learn most. And that's what
Yeah.
we do in life. We teach best what we've contracted to learn most. And so many people think that they're studying this modality, or they're following this spiritual mentor or something, in order so that they can set up their healing practice. They can teach others. I often say I don't teach anybody anything, as I help them
Yeah.
to reconnect with their divine eternal natures, and then all that wisdom flows from that. So everyone, walk in or not, can do their part to make this planet glorious, and to bring it back to its wonderful grandeur of acceptance and peace and unity and love.
Oh, absolutely. And I think it's also a matter of about healing. The only person who can heal you is
Is
you.
you.
Nobody else can. You know, Reiki master teacher, so am I. But at the end of the day, what I was taught by my own Reiki master was level one, first person you treat is yourself. That's why I did it.
Absolutely. And
And
that's,
that should be why everybody does it.
I'll just reach over here and I'll just read you what I have on my brochure. I said, since incarnating back to planet Earth on January 11th, 2003, I've never used the word healer to describe myself, as I do not do the healing. If the client is willing and fully open to receive, they will contract with God for the healing to take place. I am merely the conduit, the channel, and the facilitator for the client to receive the grace of God's healing. But everyone
Yeah.
decides if they want to heal in and of themselves.
And it's about divine timing.
Yeah.
Sort of, to me, I don't see it. I'm very much a believer in our creator. Absolutely. Um, what I would say is that I see it as being, I offer a tool that empowers. So I think you've said the same thing, but in totally different terminology.
Yes,
That
exactly.
it's about empowering people,
Yeah.
and that's what so many. Yes, I hear that word healer. It really does. I am not a healer. I never will be a healer of anybody but me. But so many of us bring amazing gifts
Yes.
that are tools.
Hmm.
And but when you realize that those gifts are tools, it's so important. It's brilliant. You're sharing the story, your story. And that is one of the most powerful tools that you can share to people. People listening to this, listening to you, that are going through a hard time, they listen to my story, everybody else's story that's shared on these programs, but so many other places. They're not on their own.
No.
There
And
are other
yeah.
people. Yeah, carry on.
I was going to say that everyone is so unique. Everyone is so individual. It reminds me of when I channeled my first book, which is Angels of Faith. I don't know if that's appearing backwards, but
No,
after I wrote it, I thought, oh, well, after I brought it forth, I thought, well, I said, there are lots of books that have been written about angels. There are lots of books, written about, how we continue to live in the afterlife. But then I thought, I'm going to publish this book because no other person has ever written a book with my fingerprints.
yeah,
And fingerprints are like snowflakes. There are no two that are exactly the same.
yeah,
And I said, nobody's written it with my intentions, my energies,
yeah,
my particular recipe of cellular makeup energies from different lifetimes, from this lifetime or whatever.
yeah.
And that's why I said, I'm going to believe that I was given this for a higher purpose. And as with all my other books, when Spirit asked me to step up and to channel my books, it was, I didn't say, oh, I have to busy myself with clients. I have to busy myself with other things. They said, no, this is the priority. And so I've stepped up. And because, I was given these books, everyone is an individual, and each of us can put forth our creative efforts with belief that no one else has ever done it in just the same way that we have.
Because we are absolutely individuals. There's no two ways about it. And you used the word intention, and that is such an important terminology. It is holding intention, but the intention to me always for the highest good.
Yeah.
It is not holding the intention you are going to heal somebody,
Right.
you're going to make that pain go away, or you're going to help them feel more positive about themselves, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
It's being really I think, strong with yourself from a human perspective,
Mm.
to hold the intention that the gift that you're offering, the tool that you're offering, is for their highest good, and you stay totally detached from the outcome.
I've often said to my Reiki students that everyone is allowed to hold on to their illness, and it might be the greatest teaching tool that they ever co-create in their lives. And so who are you to come in and say you're going to magically, abracadabra, free themselves from this disease or
Yeah.
free themselves? So it's almost impossible to know what a person needs to learn from their illness or their disease. And so all we can do is be the facilitator for them uh, to choose to heal, and for them to acknowledge what they have contributed and what they've manifested in their life. And then the learning has to come through them. It's an interesting point about spiritual teachers, and the ego that steps in so often. I like to share with people that I say that I don't teach anybody anything. Again, I really do try to help them to reconnect to that divine eternal nature, where all that wisdom that we'll ever need is stored. And I say that the original word, the Greek word educo, actually doesn't mean to teach. It means to lead forth. And so a good teacher will not see a student and try to push facts into them, to try to teach them anything. What they will actually do is they will see the diamonds that are inside each and every one of us, the gifts, the talents, the abilities, and then they will polish those diamonds and then help lead that forth from the student. But the student has it in them already. And so a good teacher will always know this, and they are, again, the facilitator to work with the treasure that's in that person.
Absolutely. As it's, what is it? It's this, everybody is totally different, and you can't judge everybody by exactly the same criteria.
Yeah,
You've got all these different animals. It's a cartoon, isn't it? And you can't judge a fish and a monkey and tell them both to climb a tree.
it's true.
Because, and the elephant and goodness knows what else that all line there. You can't judge anybody by the same criteria,
Yeah,
because we are all uniquely individual. Our experiences are uniquely individual,
yeah,
and our reactions to our experiences may have elements of similarity, which is why you are going to be drawn to particular people to become a guide, a support. What I'm going to say, therapist, somebody you have a consultation with, whatever. You will be drawn to those people. This is why your story is so important,
mm,
because people go, that person has got a good chance of understanding.
yes,
And it is about leaving sympathy out of it and being guided to somebody who can empathize and can in some way genuinely understand
yeah.
your feelings.
And to hold one of the most important parts of my the sessions that I do is that acknowledgement of what that person has gone through to take them to this specific present moment, and see how their decisions and their choices, a lot of times, which have been dishonorable and disrespectful to themselves, has brought them to this point. And so once we take an overview, I call it an angel's view of that life, to really see it from a higher perspective, the person can then clearly see how they have devalued themselves, and they have compromised their life away by not living from that divine eternal nature of theirs, and they are actually living somebody somebody else's life, whether that's parental, whether familial, whether that's, from what a government or a group or a community or a religion or anything else has to tell us. But if it's going counter to our heartfelt desires, then we diminish. We diminish that line of, I call it our God consciousness, or that divine reflection inside of us, and then our life will always be off of that divine connection. And life gets pretty murky when that happens. But it's in the conscious looking at that life and seeing it as that human soul contributed to it, to know how powerful we are, that we can make different choices and we can create different realities for ourselves.
Oh, absolutely. But what I can say, I think I can honestly say what I love about life is that in spite of all the experiences that you go through to get you to that point where actually I think it is probably that sort of the kick up the whatever, the bomb underneath you that gets you to say, actually, I've had enough. It is time for whatever. It's time to step into my power. It's time to start listening to me. It's time to love me.
Mm.
We're so brought up with that, think of other people first. You can't love yourself. It's not right to love yourself. It's selfish to love yourself, and all of these things they are. Now I understand, and I think more and more people are awakening to love yourself first. That is when you can bring the greatest love to others.
It's true. It's, you love yourself not from an egotistical point of view, but you love yourself from that divine reflection, because I've often said that we are all children of God, and we are here to co-create our lives, knowing that we're more protected, we're more guided, we're more loved and cherished and adored than we possibly could ever imagine from that higher source. And everyone has angels, everyone has guides
Yeah,
around them, and it's not so much about asking all the time for things. I know, ask and ye shall be given, but it's ask and then let go of the how and the when of how things or when they should manifest in our lives, because that's not our providence. Our providence, that's the providence of God and the angels. All we can do is be of pure intention and then live in the present moment and see the signs that the angels have sent us, how to easily and gracefully step forward when the time is divine to do so. And once we do that, we're not pushing the river of life anymore. We're letting it take us to where we could be of best service. And going back to loving ourselves, when we love ourselves, we serve the best in us. And when we serve the divine and the best in us, then we can then go out and fully serve others.
absolutely. And I think it's all of us realizing that we come from love, we are love. Every single one of us is special. There is no one more or less special than anybody else. It doesn't matter who you are, what you do, you are a uniquely special being.
Yeah. If we could only see the soul contracts that we write before we come into this human incarnation, it would absolutely boggle our mind to see from people in the corner grocery store that we always see, or the gentleman that helps us pump our petrol at the petrol stations, or those people who we randomly meet and open a door for, or help them with a package onto a bus, or I mean, it's just amazing the intricacies of our relationships, and how we learn best through them, the giving and the receiving, and it's just such a wonderful, wonderful web of different connections and how we all can be of service in each other's lives. It is truly amazing. To look at it from a human's point of view is almost an impossibility. But then again, on the angels on the other side, that's all they have. That's all they have time for. They don't have to take care of this funny little meat suit that we're in. They don't have to wipe it or clean it or feed it or tend to it, and and the connections that are made for us to again be of service and to give and receive are truly extraordinary in our soul contracts.
Yeah. I It's an amazing gift to be here. It's an amazing time to be here. We obviously sort of said this is about sort of I am an angelic walk-in. Is there something more that you can share about that experience of that time? Because I'm sure people would like to maybe hear a little bit more about that. I'm loving the conversation we're having.
Yes, it is. It is lovely. Well, many people have asked me, how would you know if you're a walk-in? And there are certain characteristics which are endemic to walk-ins, and sort of like when Dr. Raymond Moody penned the title "Near-Death Experiences," and he had like a 10 or 14-point checklist. Some people will meet angels, but they won't go through the tunnel. Some people will, experience the homecoming review and they don't remember the etheric council. So just like with that checklist, there are certain things which a lot of times walk-ins share. One of the things that walk-ins share is that usually they will change their names. And I must tell you that before the walk-in experience, if anyone called the former soul Claire, she would have said immediately she hated that name. But with the walk-in experience, all of the clairs, the clairvoyant, the clairsentient, the claircognizant, all those clairs, clairaudient, they all opened up for me, and I loved and embraced the name Claire Candy. I get as many people calling me Claire as I do Candy, but a lot of times the walk-ins will change their name because they don't resonate with it anymore. A lot of times walk-ins will absolutely leave the partner, even if it's a long-standing relationship or a marriage they're in, because they do not resonate with that person anymore. That is not that. In many ways, that is not their soul contract. And remember that the former soul asked to exit the contract early, and so they exited not because everything was rosy and positive in their life, but because most of it was negative. And so when you wake up next to your husband who is dark and negative, and you want to get as far away from them as possible. So a lot of times walk-ins will divorce. They will leave their partners. Many times there's a complete change in their attitudes, their perceptions, their characteristics, their personalities. The former soul would have never ever done what I do. She she would never have been able to write a book because she would not have honored her creative expression in that way. She would have, she always defaulted to what other people thought was more important for her to do and did not have independent thought. A lot of times your tastes in clothes, your tastes in music, your tastes in food change. I remember when I walked in the first couple of weeks, I heard Celtic and Scottish music, and I started to wail. I started to cry. In my book, One True Home Behind the Veil of Forgetfulness, I talk about my 5 most important past lives, and I was a healer in 14th century Scotland. And when I heard these Scottish tunes, I started to remember. I started to remember that this was a part of me, and it awakened. It awakened that particular past life in me. Another thing endemic about walk-ins is we start to youthen as we get older because of the light that we hold. I am not ashamed to say that I'm going to be 62 in a couple of months, and and getting younger by the day. So there are some characteristics which walk-ins do share, and another point which I'll talk about now is that. Not all walk-ins are angelic in order. Well, not in order. Not all walk-ins are angelic from the angelic realm. Um, the ones which we are most probably familiar with are the hierarchical walk-ins, like Jesus. Jesus was the is the ascended master, Lord Sananda, and came back to shed light on the planet, and to raise the consciousness. Buddha was a walk-in, and he came back again to raise the consciousness. We see this in so many figures that they come back at a time and they just shed enormous amounts of light on the planet. Another sector, if you would call it, or category of walk-ins are star seeds. These are beings from other star systems, from other planets. I personally don't call anyone an alien because I think that's disrespectful. They are our galactic brothers and sisters. And just like there are some humans which are lovely and some which are dark, the same can be said about our galactic family. But these star beings do come in. It's not possession. Again, it's 100% contract between the human soul wanting to exit their contract and giving up their life with God, giving up their life with honors to go home to God, so that person or that being or that soul can come in to be of service to humanity. And then there are some advanced spiritual spirit guides that come back. You know, not everyone can choose to come back and just have another walk around the planet. Um, you know, you would have to have had some advanced spiritual teaching, wisdom, knowledge to be able to come back and to be able to impart that and to be that example and to shine that light out to the world. So there's a little bit of a background about walk-ins in there, and I speak about walk-ins in both my books, One True Home, Behind the Veil of Forgetfulness, and also my autobiography, I Am an Angelic Walk-In, with my face on the cover. And if you're really going to own being an angelic walk-in, you will put your face on the cover. There's no more hiding anymore. Because I was very wary about who to share this with when I first walked in. And I was purposely not hidden away, but shown where I could speak about this. And now it's a time to come out and to really publicly share this. Not because I'm superior, or not because I'm in any way more than anybody else, but because this is the example of how multidimensional we all are. And it's about to step into the divinity that we all share, as we are reflections from that same source, and we are all one. And it is vital and crucial to the planet that everyone go past conformity and start to step into their authentic selves, which is their divinity.
Absolutely. It is so about stepping into our own power, and the power of that love that's within us.
Yeah.
It really is. We're actually coming very close to time, so I know we've got people watching. If anybody wants to ask a question, will you please ask it now, so that we can ask those. But while we're waiting to see whether anybody has got the courage to ask a question,
Okay.
is there anything, because I know I've asked questions, and I don't know whether we've gone off tangent, but I feel the questions I've asked, I've been guided to ask.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything that you feel that I haven't asked that you would like to share with us?
Okay. I think the most important thing that we need to know as a human species is that we are all here to be of service, to be of service to ourselves, to be of service to others, um, and also we're not here to save the planet. The planet does very well on its own. We are here to be the example. We are here to be the example of love, of kindness, of forgiveness, of unity, and truly to make a difference in the world is to be the example. Again, not to teach anybody, not to save the planet, because that's a tremendous burden for somebody to carry, to think that they and they alone can save the planet. But each of us is an integral puzzle piece. Each of us can do our part. And we do it by being our most authentic selves, by allowing our creative expression to be born through us, through that divine channel, and then to take inspired action when God shows us how to step forth and to really let go of logic and rational thinking, and to allow ourselves to fearlessly go in the direction of our dreams. I think that's really most important, because I've never seen the angels weep harder than when somebody stands before the etheric council and they're going over their contract in their book of life, and they're speaking about the regrets. I regret that I never wrote that book. I regret that I never tried this. I regret that I never tried that. And it's not that they can't come back for another incarnation, but the regret weighs heavy on their soul. As I said in my Angel Healing House radio program yesterday, we are at a crucial time now in the shift in consciousness, and it is a time of regeneration and rebirth. And the only person that is stopping anyone from shining their light out to the planet is themselves. Nothing is stopping us anymore.
Yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely. I'm going to go to that word service, which is a word that I suppose I have a few issues with. Maybe because I've been a waitress and worked behind a bar and all those sort of things, and it's just like, I think the word service to me obviously has that connotation of doing for other people.
Mm-hmm.
And I think to me, it's just trying to get the realization that actually it's not about being of service to do for others,
Correct.
but about empowering others. And when you are constantly doing for others, you are holding two people back. You are holding yourself back and you are holding the other person back. So, service in that respect is actually learning to say no.
No. Yes, because actually the first part of our mission in coming back as spiritual warriors was to get as many people on the ascension train as we possibly could do. And so we enabled and we saved and we helped and we gave of our sinew and our money and our soul and our time. And then in 2012, around that time, we were told enough. It's time to turn the mirror back on ourselves and to bring forth our creative expressions and to be that example. It's important to know that up until 2012, we were in the Piscean age, which was the age of logic and reason, and it was the age of doing. Since then, many of us have stepped into the fifth dimension and higher, the Aquarian age, which is the age of being. And to be of service is to be that authentic example. Show up in the world honestly, openly, transparently, in warts and all, whatever it is, tell your story, be the example. And that's the way of being that service and letting the chips lie wherever God and the angels wish to direct and co-create that in order for us to then be of service, I guess, and be the example. And we will be shown where to step
Yeah.
forth. And to share our authentic light to the planet.
We have a question.
Oh,
I
yes.
think I don't know whether it's said Hamida, but I apologize for the mispronunciation if it's wrong. How would someone learn more of your spiritual teachings and messages?
Okay, the most, I guess, important way to learn about my spiritual teachings is to tune in to my Angel Healing House radio program once a week. It's on Transformation Talk Radio at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time here in California. And also, you can not only listen to the show, you can watch it as it's on Facebook Live TV. Also, please do read my books, Angels of Faith, and certainly One True Home Behind the Veil of Forgetfulness is about my 5 most important past lives, but it talks about my lives in between those lives in my one true home, which is in heaven, what I did there. I wasn't just given a halo and a harp and floated around on a cloud, I can tell you. There are so many different levels of heaven. We can choose where we want to live. We can choose how we want to appear. There is so much spiritual teaching in this book. And then also the spiritual wisdom and the messages come out in I Am an Angelic Walk-In as well. So those are 2 really great ways. Go to my website, which is angelhealinghouse.com. And a lot of people do have sessions with me, because it's during those sessions we take a very good look, and the messages are channeled to me from my angelic family, the Posse of Angels. And we take an overview to see what spiritual messages need to be incorporated in that person's life, so that they can live lives of ease and grace.
Lovely. Thank you for that. I
Thank you,
will
Hamida.
make I will make sure I've just put the website address up there. Um, if you've got a link for the transformational radio, then if you could let me have that, I will make sure that this information is put under the video, so that when it's up on YouTube, people can get the information there as well. The titles of your books, I'll make sure all that's up on there for you, so that folks, if you are watching this via YouTube, then give us a chance to get it up, but within a day that will be up underneath. At the moment it's on the website, the giftofhealingtv.com website. Under the About Us page, you'll find the information there, so go and find that, sort of from Claire Candy there. Thank you so much for joining us
You're very
today.
welcome. If I could
It's
just,
been an
I'll just,
absolute
I'll just
pleasure.
leave you with a quote, uh, a,
Mm-hmm.
qu- a quote that I created, and I love this because when we do this, we live and we come to life as a child. We come to life as a child when we allow our wonder, our enchantment, and magic, miracles, and synchronicities to be a part of our co-creation. The quote goes, "Let go of the steering wheel of life, so that God and the angels can drive you around to all the miracles."
I love that. I love that. I really do, because it is so true. Life is full of miracles if we will only open ourselves to them.
Absolutely. And they're there. They're there for each and every one of us, no matter how much money we have, no matter what our status is, no matter what our connections are. Each and every one of us is so blessed with those signs of miracles and wonder. And when you come to life as a child and you expect that you will be shown, then it's you can see beyond your physical sight, and an absolutely magical heaven on earth existence will start to unfold for you.
And it is about reconnecting with the child, isn't it?
Hmm.
The child that is to, everything is to them, is of wonder, is a
Yes.
miracle, is magical, and
Yeah.
it is opening to the child. And it's the I always get this saying wrong when I first start saying it. You don't stop playing because you grow old. You grow old because you
You
stop
stop
playing.
playing. Absolutely. And you can see it. You can see it in those people that no matter what their age is, they're alive, they're fresh, they're engaged with life. they want to engage in life. They want to be a part of the just the magic in life. And sometimes the seemingly little things are the things we really need to take note of. I have a balcony off my office, and I often take a break, and I just go and sit out there, and I just say to God, I said, show me the miracles, and let my eyes be open to see them. 2 seconds later, a ladybug landed on my hand, and we had the most extraordinary conversation, um, as we shared insights on the world. And after about 10, 15 minutes, she, I'm not sure if it was a man ladybug, but they they took off, and I thought to myself, um, I thank you for making my eyes open and me being aware of the seemingly insignificant miracles in our lives. And when we as a human species have been programmed to wait for the big things, but it's in those little things, in those little treasures. They're the treasures that are given to everyone. You can either choose to unwrap them, or you can walk past diamonds at your feet.
Oh, so true. So true. And I think, there's a really powerful message in that too. It is about, and so thank you so much for sharing with us. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you,
And
Sarah Jane.
both Didi and Hamida have said thank you.
Oh, how lovely. And thank you, Dee Dee. Thank you, Hamida. And everyone else who is listening and is not chatting in as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you very much indeed. Very much appreciated. Folks, I have an extra program this week, Friday evening UK time, 9 p.m. I think it is. I think it's 9 p.m. 9:30. Might be 9:30 p.m. I'm interviewing Janine Savion and Heather Ellis Drake of the Global Rising Summit. So we are going to be doing an extra program Friday evening, UK time, 9:30, I think it is. Do check out the website giftofhealingtv.com for that. Free to watch. Join us. We'd love to have you with us. And then we've got a couple of programs next week for you. Another one from Patricia Iris Kerins, and it's Patricia that introduced Claire Candy and myself to each other. So,
Yes. and
so
and that's the way that life works. It's just wonderful. It's just such a wonderful blessing.
it so is. I've said absolutely so many times this evening because the truth I've felt, and I hope that folks have realised and felt truth in what has been said tonight. And I think it's feel, don't necessarily hear it, feel what
Yeah.
you're listening to.
Yes.
Anything and everything, it's feeling what you're listening to. Thank you so much, folks. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Claire Candy. It's been
Thank
an
you.
absolute pleasure.
Peace
Love,
to
peace,
you all.
absolutely. Peace, love, and light.
Take care.
Namaste.
Namaste.